Hey, everybody. I got myself together this morning and I was like, what feels good today to really end on a high note for the out of this world um, experience, this out of this world bundle and CB box that Danielle and I came up with. Um, it's going to be a bracelet design and it's going to be these little sliders that you can add charms onto. So I'm going to teach you how to stitch it together. If you've got the seed beads or have seed beads at home, you can make this project. So why don't I pan down to my board and we'll take a look at what we're going to make today and I'll get into all the details. All right, here we go. Here is today's project. These are little seed bead sliders for capture or pearlesque chain. So I'll cover how to make these sliders. I'm going to cover how to make that little dangle there at the bottom. And we'll just finish this little beauty up together. So the first thing you're going to need is some fire line. I'm using 6-pound test. I'm also using a size 11 needle. The other thing that you'll need is the pearlesque chain. You'll need a bracelet length, which tends to be about 7 to 8 inches for a full length bracelet, but cutting back to maybe about 6.5 to 7 inches of chain is probably going to be enough because you're also adding in end caps plus a clasp, which adds on an inch to your full design. We'll also need some single strand end caps. And these are in the dark rhodium colorway. They have 5 layers of plating. There's teeth inside that grasp onto the ball chain core of the pearlesque or the capture chain, depending on whatever you're using. You could even use them for leather cord or pipe chain. They're pretty amazing. You'll also need a clasp. Here I'm using a toggle clasp with a couple jump rings. This is also in the same plating technology as SilverSilk. So I'm going to have that off to the side. I've got seed beads in size 8 from the Out of This World seed bead box from Danielle Wicks. And then I've got a pinch of the size 11 seed beads, which we'll be using as the handles for our sliders, excuse me. So you can see at the bottom there, just where the head pin is attached to. Okay. So the pattern that we're making is sort of the spiral. So essentially, we're going to be replicating this particular strip here. If you're part of my Silkies group over on Facebook, I'm going to take a picture of this so that you guys have a pattern to follow if you're going to remake this. And so I like to have a swatch for this sort of stuff out to the side so I can keep it as reference for when I'm stitching. This is a small swatch to make, so it's really no effort. But if I start to work on this design, I leave to go make tea or have dinner and then come back to this beading board, it's nice to just be able to look at something and then kind of pick up back from where I had left off. And so I created that swatch earlier, and now I can use that as a template to follow. Alrighty. I'm going to start by stringing on some seed beads in the size 8. And I'm going from my leftmost side to the right for the stringing, which includes that green, 2 of those maroon color beads, and 1 lotus color or pink. So go ahead and string those on. Okay, when you drop that down, you'll already see it start to form the bottom part of your beadwork because that's how the colors are going to align. Now, you can either use a bead stopper at the end, or I'm just going to hold it because it's small enough for me to work with here. And at this point, I can start stacking up my colors. So on top of the lotus, I'm going to actually string on a iris maroon color. As I'm going into that green, I'm going to actually string on a green, and you'll start to notice that these become immediately diagonal. And I'm using even count peyote, just because I didn't mention that. So you can already see that that pattern is starting to form. And so on the way back from green, you could see that there's a pink stacked on top of it. So if we take a close look at this, you see that there's a pink right on top of that green on the very left-hand side. That's what we're going to pick up. Alrighty. And so my diagonal pattern goes that there's going to be another green. So then I'll go through that. And now we are going to start with our first maroon. But you can see if we look, take a closer look down here, our maroons are already stacked up and there's three. So this would be our fourth one. So this indicates that it's going to be our last row. And we're going to do our lotus. Okay. You'll know that you're finished whenever you hold up your stack and you see that there is one maroon to match the three down here and one lotus to match the three lotus of the stripe up there. You can also tell that the rows are staggered, meaning there's one that sticks out here, actually two, but they're not sticking out on the same ends up here. It's staggered so that there are the opposite two rows are kind of sticking above where the median line there is. That way, they just basically will zip up together here in a bit. I like to do this thing at the end where I call it like locking the stitch work, which is you go through the beadwork or the bead right next to where your needle came out of, and you're going to go back in. So that basically locks the stitch in place. Now, whenever I go to zip up my peyote stitch tube, it's not going to shift around in place. And ideally, I think I'd want to do that to the bottom part too. Now, because we're using Fireline, it's very wiry, which is great with bigger seed beads because you don't actually need a needle to do that part. I just sort of cheat and lock in my stitches using my hands. Pretty easy and nifty, isn't it? All right. So now that I've got my peyote strip, we're ready to create our little tube. So I'm going to pick up my Pearlesque chain and I'm going to match my zipper ends together, just like that. You can see that they kind of just will pop in place. And I'm going to go through one bead at a time diagonally to stitch this together. Okay. And ideally, you'll want to do this twice. So going through it once and then kind of going back around to really set it in place is the goal here. And it is not going to come apart. Not only that, but it tightens it around the Pearlesque chain so that there is no real room for major movement. You can still slide it and adjust it wherever you'd like, but it grips it. Sort of like one of those steel bumpers that I had in the shop. It captures it in place, and so makes it really handy for having charms on it. Okay, I'm going to now make my way to the middle of my bracelet. Now, I want to be in a bead that is on the second row, essentially. So I'm going to exit out of there, that maroon bead, so that I'm sort of in the middle of my bracelet, or as the outer middle, if you will. And what I want to do is create my little loop. So all I've done is I've just taken a couple of seed beads. I'm going to take this maroon and I'm going to take three size 11 beads. So one size 8 and one size 11, three size 11 and one more size 8. So this pattern here. And I'm actually going to go back through the maroon bead of the same row. Now here, you could see the close-up. So I'm still going through it diagonally within the same color palette, but I'm just going back through those two beads that are in the center. What this does is it creates a loop. Okay, and you're going to go through it 3 times. And that's really going to seal the deal for securing it. So just take your time. There's no rush, and it'll tighten as you kind of continue to work through it a couple times. You could see it's loose there, but that's okay. Just keep sewing. Okay, there's 2. And 3. Now I have to meet up with my tail thread to tie it and secure it. So all I'm going to do is just sew back through the work. And I got to figure out where my tail thread is. So it's about here. And what I think I want to do is actually have it come inside. So again, because it is fire line and because I can kind of see and control what it's doing, I should be able to just push it through that last bead that's on the edge there, so that both of my threads are going to meet up somewhere in between my beadwork. And now I can go up through a seed bead and then tie it in place, because both my threads will be meeting up together. Okay. I would recommend tying it for this particular technique, only because you're supporting glass beads with this particular bail design. And so the last thing you want is anything falling apart. And also the knot will be hidden inside of the beadwork. Do a surgeon's knot, which is you do one overhand knot like I did, and then you go one more overhand knot, but you tie it a second time to get 3 ties within the same knot. And then when you pull it, it's going to be extremely secure. Okay. And I'm just going to make this easy for myself and trim off both ends to make them even, and simply go back through some of the beads. I can't remember the magic rule number for how many beads you're supposed to go back through. I say if you go back through on this instance like 5, perhaps that's probably going to be good enough. I mean, after all, we did tie it, so um, I'm not scared of it coming apart or anything. And when you do go back through the beads, make sure you try and make it as complex as possible with the thread path. That way, it's like super reassured that it's going to stay put. Okay, just trim it off. And you have a bail that you've created. Whenever we create this last bail, I want it to sit right up against that end cap. And so you could even attach the end caps on in the beginning of the project if you want to, just so you know exactly the size of your bracelet and how big it's going to be. I'm going to grab my wide nose pliers and just give it a good squeeze. I like to squeeze it from the top to bottom and then bottom to top, especially knowing that my seam is going to be completely closed on both sides. And that is one secure hold. Okay, so now I can go through and add in my second bail. There we go. So at this point, I can actually go through and attach my baubles. I just picked out some from Danielle's part of the bundle and added in a little like sediment jasper there at the bottom, just to give it a little bit of like extra pizzazz. All right, I need some cutters and I will need some round nose pliers. Okay, so for this, I am just clipping off enough wire to get me about a 1/2 inch of extra wire. I went ahead and even folded the end down over the bead. I'm gonna go in probably just like a quarter of the ways into my pliers, and I'm just gonna start to turn it. But what you'll notice is that there is going to be a large gap where I complete the loop all the way to where the end of my wire there is. So I'm just gonna clip off a little bit of that simple loop, just a little bit, and continue to fold it in once I place it back into my plier. But by the time I get there, it should just kind of click into place. When you open these up, just um, push it up toward you, and then when you close it, just press it back down to close the loop. You guys, pretty amazed how well this turned out. Is to put on the findings. So open up your jump ring, slip in your lobster, and then your end cap, and close. And then same thing to the other side. So what do you guys think? Isn't that cool? It's just fun and easy. I can imagine this in a lot of colors. I can imagine this as a necklace. You could even put more sliders on in between, and they could be solid colors. So you have like stripes and solids kind of playing together. You could do multiple dangles on because there's plenty of room. So if you wanted to put another bauble, with some other glitzy rondelle beads or something from the bundles, you can absolutely do that. Again, they do stay in place unless you like physically move them, sort of like sliders do. And yeah, that's our project for today. I really wanted to explore this idea with you guys, and I am just in love with it. And I think Danielle, she'd be proud. She'd be proud of this. I can't wait to show her. Um, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe to the channel. Those things are important for the channel to stay visible on YouTube. The algorithms kind of sneak their way in wherever it makes sense, and they either will add more visibility to my channel and get me more followers and subscribers, or we'll just never see the light of day. But you guys can help out just by doing a few extra like little things, which I eternally appreciate. I love you all so much. Thanks so much for joining in.